Happy Monday, golf fans. Welcome to this week's breakdown video for the Rocket Mortgage Classic. We're going to do a bit of a preview, take a look at the course, take a look at recent history at the event, try and identify what key stats we might be interested in this week to try and use to find golfers that we like and hopefully can come away with a winner this week. But before we do that, I did want to just do a quick recap of the Travelers Championship because I think there's a lot that we got right, even though the results may not have shown it. So Harris English did come away with the W, so that's his second win of the season. He beat Kramer Hickok in a playoff. So Kramer Hickok, who continued his hot putting even into round 4. He was a guy that I thought would really drop off, and I was wrong about that, but that's okay. Anyway, these guys battled in, I think, an 8-hole playoff, and Harris English ultimately made a birdie on the 8th playoff hole to take it down. So again, this is his second win of the year. Try to do a little bit of back testing on my model, try and figure out why I wasn't high on him entering the week. And it really came down to his experience on Pete Dye courses has not been good. Like, he was basically dead last in the field in terms of historical experience on those more technical courses. But he is a guy that, you know, he's a shorter hitter, more technical game, relies a lot on the putter. But it's funny, if you actually turn off Pete Dye history in my model from last week, he goes from being my 40th ranked golfer to my 13th ranked golfer. So we're right there. I mean, a lot of these other guys that did play well, that we liked, they do have really good Pete Dye history. Harris English just not there. So it's always good to reflect a little bit on your results, try and understand why maybe you missed something. And Harris English was a blind spot last week, no doubt. But like I said, we did get a lot right. I think on my Saturday video, I said, hey, those guys, -5, -6, they're still very live. They'll have to come out and shoot a 62, 63 to win. Mark Leishman almost did that. So he shot a final round 64, flew up the leaderboard, basically had shots on 17 and 18 for birdie, but missed them both. So he's a guy, again, he's won at this event in the past. He won at the Travelers in the past. Came very close to getting into that playoff. Same with Abraham Answer. Oh, man. So one of my favorite plays of the week. Ended up finishing solo 4th, final round 65. He basically, you know, played his way out of it on Thursday. So by shooting 2 over on Thursday, followed that up with 3 rounds in the 60s, just couldn't get it done. He had a shot. Could have made a couple birdies coming in. Didn't, and ended up 4th. Another guy that the model liked that I did have an outright on, and I got super excited about on Saturday, Hank Lebioda. He actually had the outright lead at one point. So he was sitting there at -11, entering his back 9. Basically shot 5 under on the front, put himself in the mix, then went out, bogeyed 10, bogeyed 11, dropped back, then got to the par 5, lost a ball off the tee, made another bogey instead of a birdie on the par 5, ended up coming home with 2 birdies to close out his 66. But man, if he could have just held it together a little bit, he would have been right there. At 175 to 1, I am not going to lie, I was getting really excited. I was thinking about, you know, how am I going to maybe hedge out of my position, like, because I think he was going to win, but he was right there. If he would have just hung on a little bit longer. But all this goes to show you, like, the model is doing its job, right? It's hard to predict winners, but if you consistently can put yourself in the mix, you're giving yourself a chance every week. And more often than not, you have a sweat to show for it. So it was, again, an adventurous Sunday. A little bit further down, Guido Migliozzi played well again. He's been in the mix. He doesn't have his tour card, so I'm pretty sure he can't play this week at the Rocket Mortgage. But he's a guy, I think he'll be in the Olympic team for Italy, so watch out for that. But he's a guy that I'm going to be paying very close attention to because he just keeps playing well consistently. He's a young guy, so I'm sure his results will be a little bit more volatile, but he's a guy that's definitely been coming through for us. Patrick Cantlay, just Mr. Consistency, loves Pete Dye, 4th ranked golfer in my model. Same with Bryson, top 10. Oh man, let's talk about Bubba for a second though. Bubba entered the back 9 at -13 with the lead, and then just epic collapse. So made basically, I think it was like 5 straight bogeys to play his way out of it. So he finished it with a final round 73. I don't know. Entering the day, tops in ball striking. I really thought that he was going to at least be there at the end, and he wasn't. So something just happened to him. I'm not sure what, but it's not the pressure. He's won here 3 times, so not really sure. Had a bunch of other guys that I had bet on in the top 30. Some Maverick McNeely, Charlie Hoffman, Joaquin Niemann. So these guys all played well. Paul Casey, who is number 1 in my model. So they're all there, right? Like this is, just wanted to highlight, even though the results aren't there with an outright winner, like we're consistently in the mix. We're identifying the right guys. So anyway, that's enough of the Travelers. It was a really solid event. It was a lot of fun. Again, one of the shorter courses on tour, some really exciting holes, and we're on to the next one. So this week we have the Rocket Mortgage Classic. So this event is played at Detroit Golf Club. Bryson DeChambeau, as you can see, is your reigning champion. This event has only been played twice. So Nate Lashley, for fun, won it in 2019. So Nate Lashley, dude that can get hot. Nothing really great about his game, but he did win the first iteration of this event. Bryson took it down last year. So when we look at the course, so this course is a Donald Ross design. It's basically a more kind of classic old school style golf course. So you have, your tree lined fairways, things are fairly straight. This course is pretty easy by PGA Tour standards. So Bryson, when he won this last year, was at 23 under par. I think Nate Lashley, when he won, it was 19 under par. So yes, there are some challenging holes, but by and large, this is a birdie fest. So we want guys that can go out and score. It's a par 72, 7,300 yards, Poana greens. Those are all things that I'm going to be looking at in my model here as well. So it's a longer course, kind of average, a little bit maybe above average. But does have 4 par 5s. 3 of them are reachable by most folks in the field. So there's going to be a lot of eagles this week. That's going to be key to DraftKings scoring. So we'll try and maybe take a look at who's good at making eagles. The longest of the par 5s, I think, is 620 yards. Bryson can probably reach that in 2, but that'll be a struggle for most of the field. We'll take a closer look at how the holes are broken down in terms of the yardages and set up here in a second, but did want to just highlight, so this is a nice kind of visual out on the Detroit Golf Club website. So you can actually go tour each hole and kind of its layout. Again, sense of the scorecard for the Rocket Mortgage. You can see the breakdowns. We have a couple kind of shorter-ish par 3s, a couple longer-ish par 3s, some shorter par 4s. Maybe Bryson can drive some of these, but most folks won't be able to. So again, it's set up really well for scoring. It's kind of an old school course. So some things that I'm going to be taking a closer look at just based on, my assessment of this kind of layout. Guys that do well on par 5s, make a lot of birdies. These shorter par 4s are a little bit trickier. So my sense is that folks that can kind of bomb and gouge, so driving distance might be something that I put a lot of weight on this week. If you can basically get there, have a short iron or a wedge into the greens, I think that helps out a lot. So this would maybe a week where we kind of cross tab a little bit between driving distance and basically proximity to the hole from shorter distances. So that'll be key for longer hitters, and then shorter hitters, it'll be more of a long iron play. So we'll maybe do a little bit of a cross tab on that to see if we can, find some opportunity there. So that's a little bit of the course breakdown. Again, back to my favorite tool, Fantasy National. As of the time that I'm recording this, the odds, the betting odds are not out yet, but we do have DraftKings pricing, so I'll kind of maybe do it a little differently this week. Leading the field, most expensive golfer, guaranteed will be the betting favorite, Bryson DeChambeau. Then you have Patrick Reed, Webb Simpson, Hideki, Will Zalatoris, Joaquin Niemann, Jason Kokrak. So you got a decently strong field. Now you have a couple big names at the top. it's not as strong. I know a lot of people are getting ready for the British Open, so that's where, your John Rahms, and actually Rory's playing the Irish Open overseas this week, so that's where a lot of those guys are. But you still have a decently strong field, so there's going to be a lot of, I think, strong plays here at the top end. This mid-range is going to feel a little bit overpriced, or Charlie Hoffman's of the world at 8,800, or you can think about it like 30-1 betting odds. It's a little short, so we'll see. But I think there is some opportunity here, and certainly down the board, to try and find some guys, maybe with a little pop, maybe with a little distance, and see what that tells us. So hopefully we can find some values here, hit a winner this week. So jumping over to our course breakdown, you can see this is more or less what I was talking about at the beginning. The breakdown, you can see the yardages. You can see that there are a lot of holes that generate eagles. You have a lot of holes that generate birdies. The big ones, about 40-50% birdie rates on these par fives. So getting to those and scoring is going to be critical this week. So I may be putting par five scoring into my model as well. These shorter par fours are a little bit awkward, so we want to make sure we're looking at guys that kind of excel in that kind of range. So guys that can bomb it out there, hit a wedge or a short iron in, or maybe a shorter hitter, with the mid-range irons. So that's what we'll be looking at there. In terms of top 10 finishers, you're going to have to make putts. I'm pretty sure we'll look at this in a second, but almost everyone that has won this event, finished top 10, has gained with the putter. So Detroit Golf Club, Poana greens, guys that putt well on that surface, definitely something that I'm going to be considering this week. In terms of, let's see, fairways gained. So this is a week, again, where I'm going to probably emphasize distance a little bit more than accuracy. I think off the tee is something that we'll want to consider. But again, for cut makers, guys that finish top 10, top 20, you're hitting more fairways than not. But I think Bryson's probably bringing this down a lot. I don't know if he's hitting too many fairways, smashing it 350 yards. But it's not critical to me. I think, and again, we'll have to keep an eye on this throughout the week. But if you can play out of the rough from a shorter distance, like that's an advantage. So we may not be putting as much emphasis, at least for the guys that are long off the tee, may not be putting as much emphasis on hitting fairways. Now for the shorter guys, I think that is going to be critical, right? So I think both styles of golfer can play here this week. So guys that hit fairways, maybe not as long, play well with their long irons, those guys find themselves in contention, as well as guys that can bomb it 350 yards, hit a wedge in. Maybe they're not hitting fairways, but it's a lot easier to hit from the rough around the green than it is further away from the green, right? That's not exactly the most sophisticated breakdown in the world, but that's how we're thinking about things. Again, you got to be hitting greens in regulation, so I'm not really going to be putting a lot of emphasis on around the green, because if you're missing the greens, you can't make birdie, and you're not going to be playing well anyway. So that's the idea. Again, we kind of talked about this, the whole composition. Got some short par fours, got some longer par fours, got some shorter par fives. So something that we're going to maybe look at with that breakdown. And less so about the whole yardages this week, and more so about, again, length off the tee versus, your proximity shot. So again, I think for the longer hitters, putting more emphasis on your short irons, wedges. For the shorter hitters, putting more emphasis on your long irons. So I think we can set up some of the modeling this week to capture that. In terms of historical conditions, again, we talked about how easy the scoring has been. We got Poana greens. For the most part, hitting fairways is pretty easy here. So this is what I mean. I don't think that off the tee as a whole is that important as much as driving distance. But again, for the shorter hitters, I think it is important. And again, we have only had 2 iterations of this event. The weather has been fine for both of them, so nothing really to talk about from that perspective, but it's something that we'll maybe take a closer look at as we get closer to the week. So maybe if I jump back, I did want to show you guys the leaderboard from last year and how guys are getting it done. Let's see if I can figure out how to get to that. So 2020 Rocket Mortgage. Yeah, all right, so let's go to my strokes gained view. All right, so guys that got it done last year, again, yeah, this is, again, just exemplifying the 2 styles of play that can be successful here. So Bryson lost on approach, gained 8 strokes putting, gained 7 off the tee. So he's basically, smashing it, 350 yards, short wedge in, wasn't even that accurate, but made every putt. Matthew Wolff is also a guy who's played well here in the past. Typically, these guys play well at the same courses, which I think is really interesting. Matthew Wolff is another guy that can smash it 350 yards. He actually did gain a little bit more on approach, gained with the putter. So, again, he's back in a big way, so he's a guy that I'll probably be taking a close look at. Then you have some of the short knockers, right? So Kevin Kisner, Danny Willett, Ryan Armour, Adam Hadwin, these guys aren't long. So, again, how are they getting it done? Through approach. So, I think we're going to try and set up our model this week to try and capture the 2 styles of golf that can be successful here and try and calibrate things that way. Mav McNeely's played well here. He actually did it all with the putter last year. Ricky, oh man, what are we going to do with him? He missed the cut. He was god-awful last week. That was a bet with my heart, not with my head, I guess. But again, you can just kind of see Cam Champ, guy that sucks in every other aspect of the game, except with the driver. He's the longest hitter other than Bryson on tour. Doc Redman is a guy that we like. He actually did play well last week, so maybe we'll take a close look at him. Hideki played well here last year. Hideki can't putt. No surprise there, but something about this course sets up well for him. He was able to gain on approach. So, again, just a preview. Ooh, is that Harold Varner? Yeah, Harold Varner played well here last year. Lost with the putter. He's a guy that the model liked last week. I suspect that it may like it again, but we'll see. So maybe Harold Varner is another guy we can look at. So that's it for this video. Hopefully that was helpful. Just a quick preview of the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Going to do another video on Wednesday outlining my model, some of the plays and bets that I like. If you like the content, as always, subscribe to my channel, give the video a like, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, guys.